So we're going to just jump right into it. We're going to be discussing about Orange is the New Black season 6. We have been on this episode, or we have been looking through the series. We've caught up through the entire series, and we kind of just want to go more in depth on the series itself and try to figure out, like if we liked it or not, our thoughts about it, kind of some of the topics we're going to touch and go more in depth. But if you haven't seen it yet, we would recommend for you not to listen to this part of the podcast. Either stop the podcast now or skip to the topics later on.
Unless you like to have spoilers, which is, understanding. But personally, I don't like that, so I would skip to the end of the following topic.
Yeah.
Do you like spoilers?
I love spoilers.
Why?
I don't.
I mean, what's the
exactly
point
sure.
of it?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm just one of those type of people where if the information is there, I like to research as much as possible. And if it tells me the ending, I still enjoy it. I still go watch it. I'm not one of those type of people who's like, if I know the spoiler, I don't really care.
At least for me, it's just like if you already know the spoilers, like what's the why?
I don't know. I just like it. I just like information.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's people out there too, if you agree with me, that you would like looking at spoilers and you don't really care and you'll still watch it or see it.
Yeah. So regardless of whether you like it or not, continue staying there, and we are gonna go straight into some of the last season of Orange is the New Black. So what do you think about it, Russell?
So for season 6,
What's going on with season 6?
so for season 6, I would say overall it's meh. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was okay. Season 5, I think, was better, even though I know a lot of people didn't actually like season 5 for some reason. They didn't like the fast pace of just, it happening in like a few days, and it was all over, the entire episodes. Season 4, I thought, was the best.
I don't remember what season 4 was about.
Season 4 is when Poussey
Okay.
died from the guard.
Yeah.
That was just like a powerful
was-
season, and just like everybody getting amped up, trying to figure
Yeah.
out what is happening. And then, that's part of the reason why the riot started, all of that stuff. So I thought season 4 was the amazing one. Season 6 was meh. It was all right for me. There were the standout characters were Caputo, Tasty, the storyline between Diablo,
And Blanca.
and Blanca, and I think that was about it. Those were the standout characters. Everyone else was okay. They did an okay performance. They didn't do a bad performance. But we'll go more in depth. What was your first thoughts in regards to season
I mean,
6?
it was different because season 6 was like the beginning of a new kind of chapter. So it was kind of hard to match the relevance that the last season had, just because there was so much going on, and it was built around that. So I think it was good just, to be a breaking point of, and a new start. I was disappointed, but not because it was okay, but I think I was just more disappointed by the result of the trial where Tasty was in, and she was guilty at the end of the day. So I was very disappointed at that, because I was like, okay, you guys did a riot, you did all these things, and at the end of the day it didn't work.
Right.
So I kind of see like the more overall picture.
Yeah.
For me, like the characters that impacted me the most were Tasty. Of course, I think she is very good. She's very eloquent. She is able to carry like a clear message, and she really is the one that wants to like make some justice for her friend. I also liked Mr. Caputo. I think he was the president, like the director of.
No, he was the warden. But
Yeah, before.
Before, yeah.
So he actually ended up quitting his job, and it was very interesting because he stopped just working for like the sake of working, and he actually started caring for what Tasty, which was his assistant before, was going through. I think it was great that he was able to like beyond of like all the money that he was getting from from his job. He was able to see that there was something that he could actually contribute, and that was able to save her life. So I really like that. And the last character that I thought he was interesting, it was maybe one of the sisters, Carol. I like that she was like more of a tough kind of leader, like she was intimidating everyone. And I think she took over like Red's position of being a leader in the like the last prison. So I really like that. Just like to change a little bit of the role. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so
To give a intro into the very beginning, all the women are sent to maximum prison now
after the riot.
after the riot, and
Are
then
you sure all of them were sent?
I think all of them went. I mean, not to this specific prison, but maybe to other prisons as well. But they only focus on one prison. So all the women were sent to the maximum, and then the governor wanted to see people fall, so the attorney told the investigators that they need to charge 2 people with life in prison and 3 people with 10 years in prison. Doesn't matter. Who.
That's just arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like,
because they
Are
wanted
you
to make it look
serious?
good, because there was a riot, in prison, and once they. And this is what happens in real life. They want, to make everyone look good, so they don't care who it is.
But
They don't care who gets charged.
that's very arbitrary, because
Yeah.
they didn't even look into the case first to figure out what was going on. They first set those standards,
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's already kind of corruption from the very top.
yeah,
So, we were just like lashing on how, corrupt the other guards were and how the inmates were corrupt, but just straight ahead after such a like big conflict, a person like that just says that it sends the wrong message. Like, what are we gonna be criticizing to like Mr. Caputo and Linda,
yeah.
and Figueroa, all those characters that were leaders, but that were being corrupt as well. But actually, there's someone else before them that was doing something again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So like that's the basis of the story. So we'll kind of get into it. We'll kind of go like down the line of what we thought the interesting topics were throughout the entire series. So the first one right off the bat would be Chapman, Alex Voss, and a new character, Madison. So
It's
basically
actually Madison.
Madison, but she would call herself Madison, because she a bad woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She should be called Anison.
Yeah, it was actually. What do you
She's
think of the
annoying.
character? What do you think of that new character, Madison?
Okay, so it is always interesting to get
Yeah,
acclimate with new characters,
yeah,
because you're already so used to see the same people doing the same thing that when someone is new, you have to always like give them a chance.
yeah.
So this person happens to be the inmate that is in the same cell with Chapman.
Yep.
Is like they're like roommates. I'm sorry. How do you?
Bunk mates. I guess bunk.
Yes.
Top bunk beds.
Yeah.
Or side by side beds. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay, I wasn't sure, but now okay. So she was nice in the beginning. She wanted to be like a more underdog. Kind of, like a little. No, she wanted to show herself such a strong person.
Yeah.
So she started like. I remember the first time that she was introduced to Chapman. There was only one bed in the room, and Madison didn't complain about sleeping on the floor. So I think
I think that was a different character actually.
No, it was the same
You
character.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
So it didn't when she didn't complain. It kind of made Chapman feeling more like in charge of having the power, because she was like, "There's only one bed here."
No, actually,
And
that was a different character. That was the woman. I forgot her name. The one that
that was with Red.
no, Madison was with Red first, and then Chapman was with the girl that killed that murdered children. I think that was with her. Remember, she was doing her
Oh
hair.
yes,
She
yes,
was doing her hair,
yes,
and then she was
yes.
like, "Oh, you know that she murdered her children, right?" Or something like that.
Yes, something
And
really
Chapman was like,
scary.
"Ooh." Yeah, and then they switched
Oh yeah.
together. Yeah.
So anyway, so I think the first encounter, regardless, I know I misplaced the event,
Yeah, it
but
was a
anyway,
lot of
yeah.
different characters. Yeah.
So the first encounter was like more that Chapman was being in charge,
Yeah.
but throughout the whole story, Madison becomes like this like really annoying person, and I think that's the idea of the character, just to be so like annoying and beating
Yeah.
someone else's toes all the time.
Hmm.
So, and I think, I think she did well, because if I got so annoying at her.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like the character either, and
But why
she was.
didn't you like
I
it?
don't
Like,
know. She was maybe. Yeah, like you were right. Maybe she acted very well because she was annoying. So maybe that's what the character was supposed to be. I just didn't really like her. She was also second in command to Carol because she always wanted to impress Carol. So, like she always wanted to keep people in line, and she made it, a thing to keep Chapman in line. And then Voss would sometimes just kind of interject and be like, "Stop that! Don't do that! I will do this for you," type of deal. And there was dynamic there with Chapman, Voss, and Battison, and eventually at the end they got married, so that was pretty cool. What did you think about
yeah,
that?
Chapman and Alex
Prison married.
got prison marriage. I
Yeah.
think regardless, marriage is marriage.
Yeah.
Prison, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I think it gave them a little more sense of commitment, because actually, by the time that they were getting married, Chapman already knew that she was gonna be released early.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave them that sense of like, a hope to continue with their relationship outside of, you know, the the place. So
Yeah.
I think it was great.
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I agree. I think that just shows that you can have happiness anywhere, even
Exactly.
if it's a prison. So I did like that. I thought that was nice. And then for Chapman to get released as well, which I'm actually excited about because I actually think Chapman's storyline is the weakest now. I don't really like her as much anymore
But my question is, why did she get released earlier?
because remember the story was that they get to release, I forgot how many, a certain amount of
20.
prisoners. Yeah, a certain amount of prisoners, like the ones that did the least amount, and then they would transfer in more people that are doing worse because the prison system profits off of it.
So
So
that's how it really works.
yeah.
And was it a arbitrary, or was it was it random picked, or?
No, they went through the line, and you know how they ranked. Like in the end, Hopper did a ranking system, so the ones that are ranked the with the least amount, they were the ones that got released.
And I think yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm glad that Chapman got released. For the next one, with Carol, Barbara, and Frida, what do you
That's
think of?
another circle.
Yeah, what do you think of Carol and Barbara?
I mean, the story about them was like they were sisters,
Yeah.
and they had another sister that was much younger than them, and they kill her.
Yeah, because they were jealous of her.
Yes, because I think she was like an athlete, or maybe a dancer, or something that required like a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
So they were gonna actually move to another state so that she could pursue
Yeah.
her passion or whatever. So they were very frustrated that the household basically moved, center everything on her instead of everyone's needs. So they ended up getting rid of her.
Yeah. Yeah, they got rid of her.
So that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
And it was like very unusual because usually, you don't expect your relatives, to do something like that. But, I guess, there's everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Crazy stuff happens.
Everything, yeah. So anyways, I don't remember exactly how was the conflict started between Frida and them.
Well, that was because there was a flashback where Carol was helping Frida, and then they had like a whole box of stuff that was illegal in the prison system, and Frida told Carol that Barbara was the one that took her stuff, but Frida was actually the one that took all the stuff and reported it to, I think, the warden or something, and then so the warden transferred her to another prison, which was like not maximum. So that's why Carol was so upset with her, and like Carol was gonna murder her sister because she thought that she stole all that stuff, but it was actually Frida. So that's why they want to
Get
exact
revenge.
revenge on Frida.
Yeah. So yeah, it was also interesting because, as I said before, usually conflict doesn't like is not born from sisters type of relationship. So
Yeah.
that was new.
Yeah.
In previous episodes we've seen that it's more like between other kind of like other kind of conflicts like based on other things. So I think that was a good.
Yeah, I agree. And with Carol and Barbara, it was okay. They basically rivaled each other's blocks, and they had conflict with each other and the blocks themselves. So I thought that was interesting. Eventually, they both killed each other. At the very end. So it was just like, I think that's good because it helps free everyone else, because there's this kind of like animosity against each other, the blocks, but it didn't really need to be. I thought that was just kind of, they just kind of like just went with the flow and be like, this is us, we need to be against them type of deal, when they could all be friends.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
you were mentioning before that there was a silver lining story that you thought it was nice.
Yeah.
That it was like kind of like gives
Yes.
you hope and
Yeah, the silver lining story, well, at the end it was kind of sad, but it was the Blanca and Diablo. I thought that was kind of a touchy story where they kind of want to make a baby, and so they try to make a baby, and they weren't able to make that baby, but she was sent to be released early,
and unfortunately since she was illegal, she was actually apprehended
by ICE.
by the immigration authorities, and she had to
Yeah, go there.
be sentenced for I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen to her.
Yeah.
But it was sad because at the end, Diablo was holding flowers and he's like, "Where's my baby? Where's my mi amor?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. Any other?
What did you think about their storyline?
I think it's something very truthful. Because it's something that women had to deal with. Like, she was not only a woman that was in prison, but she was in almost about to turn 40.
Yeah.
So there's this stigma around women that after that age, it gets just so much harder to have children and all that stuff. So it was hard for her because she really wanted to have a baby with her boyfriend, but there was. It was very difficult because they were in the prison and all of that. So it was like a hopeful, type of story. But it wasn't, as we said before, it was unfortunate that she actually had to be sent to ICE for the other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So the next one is Joe Caputo, Natalie, and Linda. Their relationships with each other. And I think Joe Caputo's, I think he's a great character, and then he gets with Natalie this season. That was interesting.
Plus, he wasn't always good,
Right.
Mr. Caputo was always, he did his his wrong stuff too.
Yeah, but they made his like
Just
character really well.
he,
You
he,
get
he
to know
took
his
he was
storyline.
able he was able to kind of evolve,
Yes.
just kind of like leave behind all that, like
Right.
bad stuff, and try
Yeah.
to make a contribution to the inmates life and lives, and of course helping testing the trial, and kind of like looking more into who was the person who really committed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's what I really like too as well. Is like he really wanted Tasty to be free, and which we'll jump into the next one, where Caputo and Tasty together, that was the strongest story out of this entire just this season 6, was that they were able to, Caputo was trying to figure out ways to help Tasty, and Tasty was the one being framed in regards to shooting Piscatella, and at the end she was charged for it.
Yeah.
But Caputo was there always, step by step, trying to figure out, you know, she wasn't the one. She wasn't the one. Tasty would never do that, and it was just very strong acting from both Tasty and Joe Caputo, and I really like their storyline a lot.
And I feel that there has to be such a like circle of trust
Yeah.
for him just to say, I know he didn't do it.
Yeah.
She didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because these people, are still inmates. So
Right.
you have to really like, if there is that such a like trust already, I think that's definitely, means that you have been able to like really, build
Yeah.
a relationship with that person,
Right.
that you are able to say that.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. And and the topic with Tasty, how she was charged, a lot of the inmates said that she did it. Including
'Cause there were-
Cindy, her best friend.
Yeah.
And how is that? Like she felt conflicted because Cindy and Suzanne actually in the very beginning of the episodes, they knew who shot and killed Piscatella because they saw what happened. But Cindy said to Suzanne, "Don't tell anyone," because she thought she was gonna get more reprehensive from the guards, and then Cindy, eventually said that Tasty was the one that did it, and she was so like, that was a hard thing because like if she didn't say anything to against Tasty, she would get more years in prison. So like, what do you do in that circumstance?
Yeah, I think it's
Right?
hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I wouldn't know what to do, to be honest.
Right.
Because you always wanna try to help your friends as well, but when your own well-being is a risk.
Yeah, but she knew the truth too. She
No, I
knew
know.
that Tasty was not the one that did it,
I know.
but she had to. So that was unfortunate. So, and then the next part was with Gloria Maria. There was a small storyline with them where they hated on each other. So Gloria said that Maria was the one that was part of the riot, and so Maria got 10 more years in prison. So Gloria and Maria didn't like each other at all. So that was part of the storyline. They're feuding against each other. And then another part of the storyline was the drugs in prison. Who was bringing the drugs in prison? Daya, was a returning character where she became this crazy person from what we knew, from, being innocent to just trying to do her thing to now shooting, one of the guards to now being part of the drug ring and now taking drugs.
Yeah, and I think the drugs like theme is something that has been like recurring through all the episodes. It's nothing really new, whether the drugs are brought by the guards or the inmates.
Yeah.
It's something that is gonna be there no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think there are so many things that are also making the situation worse.
Yeah.
Beyond that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Yeah, Daya was the one saying to her mom, Aleda, like, hey, we need to bring in the drugs. And what'd you think of the mom? Since she's out of prison, she can start a new life. She was like, well, I'm going to have to go back to, dealing drugs to get my
Her
her
kids,
kids
because they
back.
were in
Yeah,
foster
we're in
care.
foster care.
I felt. I don't feel especially anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, as I said, it's kind of hard because, you would say after you were free, why would you do something like that again?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. I mean, that one was a pretty interesting one, and she got one of the guards, Hopper, to help her with that, and then Daddy was one of the newer characters, was helping Daya in regards to the drugs and all that stuff, which I thought her character was okay. Daddy's character, she was okay. She was one of the newer ones. I didn't think, like I said, I didn't think good or bad about the newer characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, is there
Yeah.
any other?
Oh, and then there's so yeah, those are kind of the overarching themes of
I
the
kind of.
other one was the prison riot, but that was against C Block and D Block because of Karen Barb, and then the other story was with the prison game with the guards, and I thought that was okay. I think with the guards, it was kind of like a backstory.
You thought that was okay?
No, no, no. I'm saying I think that was okay storyline.
Oh.
Yeah, it was okay. It was like they put a back burner with the guards. So I thought that was okay. What did you think about the prison guards doing the game?
I thought that was disgusting.
Yeah.
They were just basically taking advantage of the situation that the inmates were so, they were just like trying to do something to first, gain some power, you know, and entertain themselves in totally the wrong way. So, as we said before, corruption existed like everywhere. So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to come from like drugs or things like that, but it can be as small as that.
Right. Right. Yeah. So with that, yeah. So those are. I wanted to end because yeah, those are all the overarching themes to the show. I wanted to end with kind of like a question of like how we could answer this. So towards the end of this series, Sophia kind of made a appearance. She wasn't in the show a lot, but Sophia made an appearance, and I thought it was interesting. So basically, Caputo wanted her to do a testimony about how crazy it was during um, her imprisonment in the shoe, and how like the just how crazy it was, and what
For
it's
how long
like.
did she stay?
I can't remember. It was like a while. I
Yeah,
don't
she was.
remember.
I think she was one of the ones that stayed the longest.
Yeah, the
there.
longest. Yeah,
So I think they
and
had
Caputo was actually the one that put her there, and so
yeah.
he wanted her to tell her story, so to make MCC look bad, but she was offered by Linda not to tell the story. She would get $300,000, and she would get released early. So my question is, like, what would you do in that sentence? That's like super hard. Like, what would you do? Like, how did you feel when Sophia did it? Like, Sophia could have helped, show that MCC is really bad, and maybe helped Tasty's case, for her to not get the life in prison. But she thought about herself. I mean, she thought about her family, saying, like, my family needs this money. So, like, what? Like, that's such a hard thing to think of. Like, if you were in her shoes, would you do the same thing?
I think there's too much hype about like that we are having this hope of like they are gonna do the right thing,
Yeah.
but people are gonna just do what's better for them.
Right. So basically, one of the episodes is like you fend for yourself.
Exactly.
So no, you won't make any friends. Basically, you just look out for yourself.
Type of thing.
That's harsh, That's like
I
in
know,
reality, that's just like, when you go to the world and all that stuff, you want to make friends. You want to, make sure that they're loyal and that you're loyal and that You want to help each other out. But if you're just fending for yourself, what's the point, right? So it's just like, yeah, it was like for in prison is it about loyalty or is it
Actually,
about yourself?
but the other thing is that when you're in prison is different,
Right.
and that you're just like casually doing friends, and it's different.
Yeah.
Your time, the place where you are, the restrictions, so you act differently. You're not gonna just be like anyone else in our circumstances.
Yeah. So for anyone that is listening to this, what would you do if you were in her shoes? Like, because I honestly want to know. Like, I think it's an interesting question
Yeah,
to
I
kind
don't
of
want
talk
to
about.
answer because I don't personally know.
Yeah.
Do you wanna?
I don't know either. To know that someone is going to be set in prison because it could be partly my fault. That's good. That's the guilt that you're going to be living forever. But $300,000 and leaving early out of prison, that's a hard bargain too.
Yeah, and
And that's
Linda,
not.
but also, we just only not only have to see it from Sophia's perspective, but from Linda's perspective, what's going on in her mind.
Well, I
And
told you
how
like with
come
her.
she has the budget? Like, people don't have the budget to do implement like physical training and all that stuff,
Yeah.
physical activity,
Well, they didn't want to get sued.
but they
If
can
they
offer $3,000 to someone to
well,
live.
if they got
What
sued,
is that?
if they got sued, they would be sued for
But how
millions
can
of
how,
dollars.
how can you justify that in your books? Like, oh, this is what I offered that inmate.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's not okay.
Well, that's what they do sometimes, and unfortunately, it sucks. I mean, that's what companies do to stop people from saying anything. They'd be like, "Hey, you signed this deal. Here, you get this money, but you can't say anything."
Yeah,
Which is unfortunate.
yeah, I understand.
So, yeah, overall, I thought the show was okay.
So
But
yeah,
I'm still expecting the season 7. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I really don't like that it lasts a year.
yeah,
But anyway, so we hope that you enjoyed this little like overall theme of the last season.